I'm Fahd Hamidaddin. I'm the CEO, the founding CEO of the Saudi Tourism Authority, Visit Saudi.
Thank you for joining Breaking Travel News here in Berlin. What I'd love you to do, first of all, is give us a little bit of an update, a market update.
First, thank you for having me. And I want to congratulate you on your success. I can see that your business now is taking a turn into new heights. So I'm very pleased to be with you today. About Saudi, where Saudi is, it continues to be, for the fourth year, the fastest growing destination. We continue to exceed our targets. We set our target for 100 million visits by 2030. However, in 23, we hit 106, so we raised it to 150, and now we're on track, and we're beating every annual record. And that's a great testimony to travelers that have visited, enjoyed it, and shared their stories with others. Because the greatest driver for tourism, as you may know better than me, is word of mouth. So our word of mouth of all our travelers has been extremely positive. And you start seeing the word of mouth growing in new regions like Europe. Today we're in Berlin, and I can tell you 24 was the best year in terms of growth from Europe. We witnessed a 24% year-on-year growth with 40% higher in spend, growth in spend, which means that the new products that we're launching are actually winning travelers' interest and choice as well. And this demand has been impacting air connectivity. So you see airlines, 7 new airlines from Europe are now connecting to Saudi, from Wizz Air. And when I say 7 airlines, doesn't mean 7 cities. 25 cities from Europe are now connected to Saudi incrementally. So when we started in 29, we had 120 destinations connected to Saudi. As we speak, we are at 170, and we are on a track to hit 250 by 2030. As you can appreciate, we're hosting the largest global and sports events. This year, we raised the curtains on being the global hub, and we simply launched our sports calendar, annual, by city, and that calendar is going to be constantly growing until we host the World Cup in 34. But before the World Cup, there are a series. We're having the Asian Cup, so many golf tournaments, tennis tournaments, women and men, rallies and Formula Ones. The motorsports is huge. And boxing is being completely revamped and revitalized at a global level. And it's not just those big sports events, it's also sports that goes down to paddle and snooker. And the beauty about this active calendar, it speaks to our own people of youth mostly, and it also always comes with cultural and entertainment events paired. So when you have a Formula One, you always have an art and music festivals next to it. So to collectively, we have become today a global premier hub for sports and events at large. You know, I talk about art, I'll just close with this. The Art Biennale in Jeddah, the Islamic Art Biennale, in its inauguration year, got 614,000 visitors. This comes as the second largest biennale in the world after Venice in its first year. So you can imagine the potential. The same thing with the Middle East EDM Festival. We've received many travelers of youth from around the world, Europe and Asia alike. And last year, it attracted 600,000 visitors, exceeding equivalent EDM festivals like the one in Europe and the one in the US, like the Burning Man and Coachella. So a lot happening on that front.
And of course, I think another example is you're hosting the Asian Winter Games, which I think really speaks to me about this idea of the size and scale and the breadth and depth of Saudi as a destination.
I can't agree more. You know, this, I keep saying to my folks in Saudi, that are not necessarily well versed with the sector, that you're destined with a list of firsts every year. And that was just an example. But also the Saudi Red Sea, which is the largest vertical riviera in the world. And we call it a super destinations for how many destinations on the Red Sea we will have. Right from the north, like Sindala in Neom, to Amala, the ultimate luxury and wellness destination, to Red Sea, fantastic romantic getaway of desert and island resorts. Then to the cosmopolitan frontier of Jeddah and Jeddah Central. We'll have a massive marina, cruise liners, and you keep on going throughout that vertical, you will see so many destinations. So the Saudi Red Sea will be big. But with that, you see water formulas, you see the ocean race ending at the Saudi Red Sea on 28. So, and the yachting industry, the whole sea and sun and coastal offering will be buzzing. And I can comfortably say that the world sun and sea offering will witness a major growth and a shift in certain parts of the year from Med to Red, from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea.
I think from the outside, one of the things that really speaks to me is that alongside all of these incredible giga projects, there's also this sense of authenticity to your destination and your marketing. Tell me more about that.
Sure. Well, Justin, I can tell you, if there was one learning that we got from world successful destinations and leaders of the sector, is to make sure that we start and we continue and sustain authentic. So authenticity is a definite DNA for our development. And this goes from making sure that you preserve your culture and tangible as well as intangible. Today, Saudi is the home of 8 World Heritage UNESCO sites, but 14 intangible assets registered at the UNESCO site as UNESCO. So that's on one front. The second is we have massive, rich heritage of Arabia. We are the true home of Arabia. With that, you have the old villages, the mud cities like Diriyah that is being revived, which is the birthplace of the Saudi monarch, but also will become the largest mud city in the world and the best gathering place because the urban space is still preserving the mud urban code. If you go down to the south, you will see hundreds of and thousands of villages. Some of them are still living heritage. This is not a museum. This is still a living, you still get a slice of life, whether it is the food or the folklore or the dress code, you name it. And that's in the south of Saudi, Asir, which is a perfect destination in summer. Many people would not know, just like you would not have imagined north would have ski slopes. Many people don't know that we get travelers from Europe. When it's too hot in summer in Europe, the south of Saudi is at low 20s. So, and beautiful green mountains. And the authenticity can also be a guiding North Star when developing the future destinations. So the future culinary recipes. I'm talking about the physical and the tangible and intangible as well when you talk about future. So if you think of your tangible assets, so these architectural marvels that we're doing, the resorts. I mean, we've managed to attract the top contemporary and cutting-edge designers and architects of the best of the world. And if you see, for example, we're in Europe, who can I think of now? Maybe Jean Nouvel, the French architect, that is carving an iconic hotel in a rock in Al-Ula. It's called Shar'an Hotel. I think that's going to be a statement for the world. Equally, the Desert Rock Hotel on the Red Sea, where you have carved caves in the rocks on the coastline of the Red Sea, and so much in between. Chedi Hotel in Al-Ula, also another old preserved historical site that was the train station converted into a hotel. So authenticity is whether it's in nature or in historical sites, preserve that. The same thing with Jeddah. Beautiful, beautiful old souk, where now hospitality solutions are woven through those buildings that we call them soutique. It's a boutique within the souk. And you will see that if you go to Al Balad, and it's just fascinating. The same thing with our culture. Soft, I would say, intangible assets. So what ingredients do we infuse in our most contemporary plating exercises or plating our dishes in a fine dining restaurant is something that still guides us. So we're not going to copy others. We're going to copy best practices in doing what's authentically Arabian and locally Saudi in every site.
So you were quoted, I believe, saying that you're currently sort of running the world's largest startup, and like all businesses moving at speed and scale, you've got to learn and pivot. So what learnings and pivots have you made?
Well, I would say the first was to stay authentic. The second is to develop sustainably, and third is to pay great attention to the female traveler, and in our sector particularly, the influence of female travelers is higher than male. The jobs that are created by tourism is more for women than men. So we need to make sure that we put the female at the forefront of our strategies. And I'm happy to say that this is one of the learnings that have pivoted our priorities, and we started seeing dividends. Last year, 44% of all our inbound travelers have been women. And while many would not have assumed that Saudi is the safest, if you think of the facts, we're the safest of the G20 countries in the world. And if you think of travel in specific, you can see Insure My Trip, which is one of the travel and tourism indices. Saudi cities are the safest for solo women travelers after midnight. A city like Medina tops the chart worldwide. So safety is one, friendliness is another. Our culture is a very family-based culture. So hospitality and treating women with respect is something within our DNA. We don't need to train for that. We just want to make sure that the right partners that focus on solo female travelers put the new destinations like Al-Hula and the Red Sea and as new frontiers for women, because I think there is great potential there.
And alongside authenticity, I think another core pillar for you is sustainability.
Agreed. As I said, authenticity is being true to your history. Sustainability is not just protecting what's there, but it's also regenerating whatever you develop going forward. So sustainability sits at the heart of what we do in our development. And if you take the Red Sea, that's a new lab environment for sustainable practices that we are experimenting with, and we will be exporting to the world. You can hardly see a place where you're developing on Virgin Islands destinations and building new airports and be zero carbon emission and may even make the place better than it was. But that's what we're doing, and that's where people can come and put us to the test. These are flagship projects for us and the greatest testament to our commitment to sustainability. So whether it is building new airports that are completely sustainable, to preserving the islands and planting more trees than there were, protecting the marine life. So we're doing R&D and what we call coral nurseries to make sure that we bring life back to some of the dying corals, whether in Saudi or elsewhere, by pairing with our vivid supercorals, what we call in the Red Sea. And the sustainability is not just in one destination. You know, you can appreciate Saudi's total land is 2/3 the size of Europe. So we've committed 30% of our total land to reserves and rewilding 21 species. We've started seeing the birth of the first Arabian leopard twins 2 years ago. 3 species have been rewilded, and we're committed to rewilding those 21. Lastly, I would say sustainability is not just about environment or wildlife, and it's also about people and culture first. So having a thinking of residents first before tourists, residents before tourists, is something that will make sure that would prevent us from falling in the traps of other destinations that are being accused of over-tourism. So especially with mega events like the World Cup, the Expo, you wanted to make sure that your city's master plan, your flow and management and mobility brings the best of tourism without having your residents being compromised. So the Red Sea is the perfect example of regenerative tourism. It's simply not just preserving what you have, but making the place better than what it was when you first arrived. So planting more trees, rewilding animals, making sure that even the travelers come and can contribute to making this regenerative engine moving and programs nurtured. And you know, the best travelers are most attracted to impactful, purposeful destinations like that. And lastly, on sustainability, I talked about the importance of residents before travelers, employment and businesses alike. So we want to make sure that wherever we develop a destination, we start with offering jobs to the locals. So places like Diriyah was an old city, and we made sure that over 90% of the employees in Diriyah are from Diriyah. El Ula, the same thing. And even when it is a remote destination, and it may cost us 3x the cost of training and development, human capability or human capital in these remote areas, versus simply getting well-trained from main cities, our commitment remains to making sure that 90% local trained employment is a success measure for us.
And you've just launched a wonderful new campaign, The Land is Calling. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I thought that the land is probably as raw as it sounds. It's much stronger statement when you attach it with a call. This has some sort of like a higher order positioning of a place. And when you think of a land, it's unbound to political borders. It's a land of civilization. It's a land of walks, of prophecies. It's the birthplace of mankind. Some scriptures say Eve was born on the crescent just next to Jeddah. So this land is not like many other lands. Trade routes, prophets, religions were born there. And now it's open for the world. Since 2019, we've been the best kept secret. All those civilizations have left us lots of wisdom and archaeological sites that are now open to the world. So the call has been way overdue, and the time is now.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.